Welcome to a special edition report of Oof, My Wallet, titled Oof, My World, to celebrate the release of the one and only demigod of Transformers fiction, Haslab War for Cybertron, Unicron.
I have summoned you here for the purpose. Your bargaining posture is highly dubious.
That's right, folks. The time has finally come. We're going to give you the good and the bad of the biggest Transformer of all time. So buckle up, because gravity is about to get a little weird.
Proceed on your way to oblivion.
Hello from planet Unicron. This is the Oof My World super special. Well, I don't know how super it is. There's only 3 of us here. So, half the cast is busy crying at home because they didn't get their giant beach ball of doom yet. But we did. Didn't we, Mr. Phil?
Got mine right here. Just got it today. Got a great deal on this. Only paid $650 for it off of eBay. So I'm super stoked.
I got news for you, buddy. You got bamboozled. You got Unicroned.
He's supposed to be dusty, right? He's supposed to look like he's like 20 years old, right?
I mean, Unicron himself is more than 20 years old, but the toy just came out like in the past 7 days. So yeah.
So why is this one all dusty and smaller than Lucas's?
Well, I don't know if we have Lucas. All I see is the Lord of Chaos himself, who's here to join us for a conversation. Unicron,
I'm sorry, he's so big that he's kind of taking up the whole frame here. So
that is Lucas.
Lucas, I think you should spend the rest of the night just using Unicron as like a little dummy.
And move the eyes back and forth.
Ventriloquist.
Ventriloquist. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Ventriloquist dummy.
Well, Lucas, I got bad news for Phil here. That's the wrong toy. You got the wrong one, bro. You got the original Unicron figure.
The OG.
The first Unicron figure we ever got. I think, right? Yeah. That's it.
This is the Armada. This is the Armada version. No, I did not pay a stupid amount thinking I bought the new Haslab one. No, that's mine. My Unicron I did receive today. Oh, gonna get myself a hernia.
You won't be the first.
There it is. Still in the box.
Still
gonna stay that way for a while.
Still
I'm sure the FedEx guy loved you, huh?
I actually heard the FedEx truck pull up, and so I met him like halfway up the driveway, and I was.
And you said, "Hey, sir, put it over here."
Yeah, I was pretty shocked when I saw how large this box was. I did not realize he was going to be this freaking big.
There was kind of some real reckoning that's been going on in the Transformers fandom the last few days because, we all read the dimensions, saw the box, we knew everything. Now, knowing things and understanding them are 2 very different concepts. And I still have a hard time looking at this thing and not laughing because it's so big. I don't know if the angle really does justice, but it's this thing it's way bigger than my head, which is amazing, but
because everyone knows you've got a large head, Paul.
It's
I would say it's probably the size of a beach ball, maybe like one of the big ones.
Yeah, like a real beach ball. The beach ball of doom thing is like a real comparison. Yeah. It's a real thing to say. Well, so yeah, we got 3 members of the TFTALK cast tonight that oofed their world, did get the Unicron. We aren't the only ones, but we're the first ones in the cast to get it. And
I think that everyone's like anxiously waiting their Unicron, and I guess there was like an announcement from Hasbro that it may take up to 2 months to get it. So I think it's somewhat dependent on the part of country you're in, like where you're getting it. So we're Midwest. I think Rob is getting his pretty soon. But yeah, I don't know when Rick's gonna get his or Peter's gonna get his. So
yeah, because not everybody's getting the notifications, and I don't know if you haven't checked out Unicron.com's interview with Ben Montano, the brand director for Transformers, it would be worth your while to check it out. It's on YouTube. Kevin Lucas does an interview with him, and they sent him I guess it wasn't a production sample, but it was like as close as it gets. And he was able to take a bunch of cool photos and stuff like last month. And they answer a lot of questions about the production of the toy, the timeline, a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff on how it got made. And also they talked a little bit about the rollout. And he specifically asked Ben if, if they would fulfill them in order of backer, and he's like, nah, no, that's not really a priority at this point. It's mostly about where you live in the country by how you'll get it, how soon people will get it. But I've seen some inconsistencies. People on the, Nick, a member of the cast, has gotten it. He's in New York. He got it before me. I'm in Chicago, so something, not every delivery is different. Every delivery is different. I think you got it absolutely first, though, out of the three of us, Lucas. Is that correct?
Yeah. When was I got it on Sunday. So.
And that arrived like a day or two earlier than you thought. Is that right?
It was supposed to show up on Monday, and FedEx went ahead and delivered it on Sunday. So I'm sure that the FedEx guy was excited to deliver it. So.
Yeah. Well, your mileage.
I'm sure, like, if you told him that, you almost just blew out your back on a giant toy, he would not have been happy with you.
Like,
no, I will say today. So I got him transformed today and all that, and he was just kind of hanging out there. And my kids like walk in the door, and their jaws just drop. They're like, what is that? And my wife was like, oh well, no, it's Daddy's toy. Whatever. And, they're like, yeah, of course. Like,
I thought that was a new Playmate.
It's just the centerpiece of your kitchen table now, because that's the only surface that'll fit on.
Right, exactly.
Well, Phil, I believe you got yours today. I got mine yesterday. Yeah. So you just showed you haven't taken it out of the box. Are you planning to?
Maybe. That's a question that I'm going to answer probably towards the end of the year. My financial situation is not exactly the same place it was when I ordered this, and I'll be honest, with the price this thing is selling for in the secondary market, and the fact that this thing is so gigantic that I literally don't know where I'm going to put it. There's this question of like, $1,500 or giant toy that doesn't fit in my house. So my plan is to wait till the end of the year, see how the year shaped up, financially speaking. And if I did well, then, hey, I got a nice present for myself. If I didn't do well, then, I've got something that can, take care of a few expenses for a little while in terms of, the secondary market value of this baby.
Yeah. I mean, what's another 9 months, right?
Yeah. Exactly. I waited this long. I'm just going to go to your house, Paul, and play with yours.
Well, I'm going to put mine in a very difficult to reach spot, so that will not be happening. You'll be able to look at it though. I have a whole plan for where I'm going to put this thing, but when I will find time to construct that plan, I don't know. I mean, I had a year and a half, and I knew exactly where I was going to put it, but part of me was like, will it fit? And I'm pretty sure it will now. So now I have to do the handyman work to make that happen.
Now you're only getting one, right, for yourself, Paul? I'm assuming.
I actually, great question. I am planning to keep a second one sealed for for a long time. For let it marinate, kind of like Phil. Let it marinate. Far longer than 9 months would be my plan, but it's gonna go. I mean, there's no bin that can contain the Unicron box. It's in a league of its own bin wise, so it's gonna have to go. It's gonna have to be, I guess, next to the bins. So
I cannot even fit this box through my office door. I was not sure it would get down my fairly narrow basement staircase.
well, we couldn't get a couch down there that one time, so
No, we
I was
couldn't.
wondering.
Yeah, and I for all the people watching this, just like if you don't have this yet and it's coming, clear out a significant amount of space to keep this thing. Otherwise, it is just going to, I could see some older homes with smaller doors that this thing would not fit in. So figure out, find the dimensions of the box somewhere and make sure you can get it in your dang house or in your room that you want to put it. Because it is, again, the toy itself is big. The box, therefore, has to be larger to contain it.
I mean, at worst, you would just have to remove it from the box outside of your house and bring it in piece by piece. Then it will easily fit, because if you haven't seen yet, it comes in planet mode. The horns are retracted. It's basically just a sphere of plastic, and everything else is in baggies.
But it bounces like a basketball. You just took it on your driveway and bounced it a few times. We recommend everyone do that, right?
Yeah. Just, be careful of the teeth.
Don't do that.
So this is one of the features that is, I don't know. It's I describe it as mesmerizing. Like, to look at the teeth, like crunch and come back. It's a really cool feature. It works well. I mean, that's not why I paid $600, but it's like a nice bonus. You can put things in here if you want for him to eat, like beer bottles, like our friend Scotty did. That was pretty cute. I thought that Catherine is asking some questions. I have not transformed this. No, I have not, and I don't think I will. And that's why Lucas was such a sport and transformed his for the love of the show, so we'd have both modes to talk about tonight.
Well, Paul was bugging me to do it, so I finally had to, do it today. So.
Well, I wasn't gonna. So.
I don't know if I'm gonna transform it back though. Now that I have it in this mode, I don't know. I mean, the transformation actually was not that bad. I don't know. I have a hard time following Hasbro instructions in general, so I kind of just did it. And I didn't really have that many problems like doing it. Like all the, I don't know. Like the one thing I'll say is there's a lot of panels, like a lot of panels. I knew that there was. I just was not really prepared. It's kind of like what you're saying, Paul, where it's like you're not prepared with the size. It's like I'm not prepared with the amount of panels there were. So there's a lot of panels.
Flapjack back flaps.
Flapjack backstack. I don't know if we can see, like, I mean, that is a backpack right there. So
yeah, he's going hiking up in the mountains with that thing.
Right. Well, and not only that, I mean, he's got ankle weights, too. So it's we can.
I mean, see. I gotta tell you though, those are a bummer for sure. Like, no one's like, oh, that looks. I'm so glad it has these panels. But when I've seen the photos on Instagram and stuff of the guys that have removed that section, removed them, I think is it connected with a pin or is it a screw? Did you notice?
I can't remember. I think it's a screw, I believe.
Well, when those sections are removed, the toy looks absolutely amazing. The robot mode, suddenly the proportions all look correct, and it's just kind of mind blowing. It just sucks that you have to go through all that work to remove those panels, and then you can essentially build the planet again after that, just without the rings. So
I mean, that's somewhat fitting because I've never really displayed the Armada Unicron with those circular planet, dome kind of components. I always have popped those off, because it didn't look right with those things hanging off. So it is an unintentional homage to their first Unicron toy that the planet panels just the toy looks better without them there.
I mean, I will say that from the front of the figure, like, it doesn't look that bad. Like, obviously I'm noticing it because I'm, sitting here holding it. But from the front, I think it's fine. Because a lot of the panels, like, half of them are behind the legs and on the side of the legs. And then you got this backpack. So I don't think I'm going to bother with going to the trouble of doing that. The one thing I will say, though, is it makes him incredibly back heavy. To do that, but the ratchets on this are just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they're really, really strong ratchets, like, overall. So it's not really like a huge problem standing. I know the like the Piranacon set, like, I had an issue with that standing. Like, I had a hard time with it. Like, this doesn't really have that big of an issue with standing, but there's a lot of mass to it. And I think especially with the rings, like, I mean, the rings are really kind of what, like, kind of sets it apart. I mean, it's such a huge figure, like, I don't know. I know that, like, with pictures and all that, like, that you're like, oh, it's not that much bigger than the Titan class figures, but it definitely is. Like, it feels much bigger with, like, all the mass, the wings, all that kind of thing. So.
Lucas, how long did it take you to get him in a bot mode?
So I kind of worked on it in between doing stuff with work. So I would say probably total maybe like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. I mean, it really wasn't that bad. I mean, honestly, like, I would say I probably have had a tougher time with some of the third party or masterpiece figures than this one. So.
Did you have it attached to the stand when you did it?
Yes, and I would definitely recommend doing that. The one thing that's weird with the stand, and Paul, I don't know, when you, like, open it up, like, you look at the instructions and it's just like plop it on the stand. And so then, like, you're sitting there trying to figure out, like, which way does it go?
Yeah, this is what I discovered, and luckily I caught this from someone online. So here's the big instruction manual, full color, big like the toy. If I had to say they made one mistake with the release of this toy, which I would say they overall did an incredible job. The first step on the damn thing should have been, this is how you put it on the stand. But instead they just kind of, like, begged the question that you did it. And so to really figure it out, you have to kind of go all the way to the back. I think it wasn't Ryan. It might have been Ryan that mentioned this. There's a part where it tells you how to remove the stand in planet mode, and that's the only thing that's even close to a reference of how to do it. Yeah, here it is. It's literally the last page. Stand removal. So you can reverse those steps to figure out how to put the stand onto the planet, which is completely bonkers. Like, I know it's extra work to, like, reverse steps, but when it comes to Transformers and stuff, like, I always feel like they need to not just tell you to reverse the instructions, because not everyone's brain thinks that way. You can just, like, go backwards.
Right.
But anyways, what you do is you basically break off you detach the two upper hemispheres. Then you have to pull back the middle part, and then there's these two, like, tabs. Like, there's one that's long and skinny, and you, like, pull that inside the planet mode, and then there's another one on the opposite side of it that's more of a small tab, and you, like, just detach it and it will go in. And then that allows the stand enough clearance to just slide in. And I got it to slide in, like, immediately. It was actually a pretty graceful connection. Felt solid. and it's on there, and it's good. So that and like having transformed just that much, trying to get those hemispheres apart, made me not want to transform it anymore. Because it's not awful.
Pretty much the whole
tricky.
thing is just taking all of those and then like again you have to detach all the hemispheres, like I mean all the panels, you know what I mean, but they're all tabbed together, so you have to kind of figure that out. So it's like it's a little bit tricky and it's a little bit scary when you're doing it, because you're like, okay, well I don't want to like snap a tab or something like that.
It definitely seems like you're going to, because it's like teeth, and there's like an up part and a down part, and so like if you miss one, it's really hard to make it work. You have to like force it, but it's still designed pretty well. That's just how those joints have to be, and I'm just not used to them yet, is probably the biggest problem. Hey Duran,
right.
What up, dog?
Lucas, is there any transformer that you've had before this that you would say you feel is similar in terms of the engineering or the design or how it all kind of comes together, whether that's Hasbro, Masterpiece, mainline Hasbro, Masterpiece, or third party?
I mean, I would say no, because like I mean this is such a shell former, like there's nothing really that's like close to that. I mean, as far as the size goes and like just the quality of the ratchets and things like that, like the Toy World Devastator, I would say like it's kind of a similar piece, I guess, but I mean it's a completely different transformation. But like the size is I mean it's not as big as this, but the size is But yeah, this is, I don't know. Like I don't have anything else like this in my collection, Like I mean, there's nothing as this big.
Yeah. I feel like this is in a class of its own, and that's why they released it the way they did, being a crowdfund. It's like very much a one-off, unique release. It makes, I mean, every time I look at it, I just like get really happy. The only thing I can compare it to, and it's a weird comparison because I think it's pretty personal, that the feeling I get from this toy, I've only had like one other time, and that was with when I opened Combiner Wars Devastator, and it's not the size, it's not really comparable. I'm just saying, like, me personally, I hadn't had that reaction since Combiner Wars Devastator, which is like still not even the same, because it was just such a pure nostalgia rush with Devastator, just the way it was constructed and how like Hook still like does the pull apart and turn on itself. Just, it was amazing. This is like a totally new experience. It's just the toy we never got for 35 years.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like, I mean, all of us really wanted a good Unicron, after watching the movie and everything. And I mean, nothing else just really compares to this, because like that Zeta, whatever, the third party one, like the size just isn't the same as this. Like that's the thing that's different, is like it's just, you're just so impressed by like how much weight and size there is.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen the photos online, and I have the Zeta, I have Cell, and it's pretty big. It's pretty good. I will not, just like I'm not turning this into a robot, I have not turned that into a planet, because first off, I think the planet looks awful, and when I see them compared to each other, it's like that Cell toy looks so small and dinky. It looks like the Armada Unicron, like in comparison.
Right.
Just
yeah,
it's wild.
And I mean, this thing is like fully painted up and all that. Like, I don't know, like I feel like all the like the Titan class figures that we get, like, I mean, I definitely like the price on those a lot better than this one. Yeah. But like all of those figures, you get it in, you're like, oh, it doesn't have this, it's not painted quite the way you want. And so then it's like I have to go and like get the Toy Hack sticker kit, and I have to go get whatever accessories and upgrade kits and all that kind of thing. Whereas like this is just kind of like, I mean, it's just amazing taking this out and just seeing all the paint work that they did. Like, even on the planet mode and the robot mode, both is just really incredible. It just looks like such a nice quality piece. So like now it is not a masterpiece figure. So it's like, you don't want to compare it to that. But I mean, like, we're never going to get a mainline Generations figure that's more impressive than this. Of course, I say that in 10 years from now we will, but
I mean, let's get real. This is not a mainline toy. It's part of the mainline. So, but, this wasn't in stores. It was not widely available. This is just its own sort of thing. And, I agree. I don't think there's going to be anything like this ever again. Ever again. I hope.
I mean, they're averaging one HasLab a year, just about. So with all the different properties Hasbro has, I don't know when they would come back to Transformers and what they'd even do at that point in time.
I think they'd have to. Dial it back a bit.
Right.
But
I think that's.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say the thing is like this had some trouble getting funded initially. They extended the funding and all that, and part of it is just because it was so expensive, and it was like their second HasLab, venture. Whereas like you see some of the later ones that they've had like have been at lower price points, and they've sold a lot better. So like I feel like in the future you're going to see a lot more HasLabs where it's like $200-300, not $600.
Yeah, because the Sentinel and the Mandalorian ship, those just so quick. Like they weren't even keeping up with the backer add-ons. They didn't have enough backer add-ons for either of those two HasLabs to keep up with the amount of just orders that those both got. They were like scrambling on both those, like, let's throw another head on the Sentinel, and like, the Mandalorian ship that comes with here's a stand. Okay, we'll throw that in there as part of the additional add-ons, and so that was. Yeah, that price point seems to be a sweet spot for them with this. The $600. Yeah, that was tougher then. I bet if you did it now, it would sell out so much quicker. Now again, that's in the middle of a year where everything collectible is selling insanely well.
Yeah, if they put it up now, like right after everyone gets their stimulus checks, yeah, like they probably would get it pretty.
Well, I would argue that some of those things you mentioned, Phil, they didn't need to be HasLab. They could have just released those.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it has a lot to do with popularity, price, kind of wow factor. There's a lot of things going on. Like I don't know, that Sentinel. They probably could have released that at retail, but I bet they would have had trouble. It was just over the edge where a retailer would have been like, I don't know if I want to carry this. So they just went for HasLab. And so, then it went bonkers because it was priced appropriately. I kind of hope they keep HasLab for the crazy one-off things that really make it, things that, like, dream products, like the barge and this. And Maybe the Razor Crest, was up there. Just the Mandalorian was so popular, they knew they were. But then maybe they had to do it that way, HasLab, to get everyone's money before season 2 hit, because they made some questionable business decisions in the writing room based around that HasLab toy.
You know what? That seems so counterintuitive to Unicron, because Unicron himself gets blown up in the movie. So if you apply the whole, the same logic that people have around the Razor Crest, that like, it got blown up and now I got this toy coming in. It's like,
Razor
Unicron
Crest
existed for 90 minutes.
The Razor Crest doesn't have a soul, Phil. It doesn't have a spark.
Yeah.
It's not alive.
I mean, shoot, the voice actor for Unicron didn't even make it to the end of the movie.
True. Too soon. Too soon. So yeah, let's talk about give me some head. So I have so yeah, I guess one thing I did not realize is that the head is not part of the transformation at all, right? That's why they have this cool stand thing that the head sits on.
I think you can still put the head inside, can't you? Like, or can it not be in there?
I don't know. I'd have to transform it to find out. But I got this thing totally docked up. I got the shuttle on there.
Oh, there you go.
I got the two little dudes. Which, if you have the Centurion drone, I believe there's an Optimus that can fit in here too.
Are there extra spots for it?
There are 5 spots to put little slug figs. And, you can put 3 more ships on here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, those Kingdom Galvatron guns look a lot like his ship.
They certainly do. I would argue, though, that it doesn't look enough like it.
No, I wouldn't want to put it on there.
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't think it makes 100% sense. So I hope that they have some more actually legitimate stuff to go on these, because I mean you need the little extra stand too, so it has to kind of be planned out.
Yeah, I could see that being like some sort of studio series. Like there's been talk of are all the Dinobots really leader class? Like all of a sudden studio series swoop. Here comes a couple extra little pieces to go on here.
Yeah. So did you take the faceplate off at all, Lucas?
I just did now.
You just did, yeah. What is also cool about this is, so when you're using one head, there's an extra faceplate. It actually fits strange enough, in the bottom of the big stand. So you plug it. Plug it into the bottom, and then you can put the extra chin bit in there too. So there's everything has its right place, just like the Radiohead song. Let's see what else. What else can we talk about with this thing?
So one of the things about this toy is that I think for a lot of collectors, if I do keep this, if I do display it, this will be the first time in quite a few years that a mainline Hasbro toy will be the centerpiece of my collection. And I don't think a lot of fans would have said that for probably since even MPO1 came out. I'm trying to remember timelines. Was MPO1 just before Unicron?
Okay, 2 things. What is a mainline toy? Can we define that quick?
So when I say mainline, I mean something that has the aesthetic of the, chug sort of feel. Like this has somewhat scale and aesthetic of a chug toy.
Okay. It definitely does have the aesthetic of that, yes. Of a
scale is not exact. Yes.
Of a generation's toy.
Not a chug toy. Well, and then you brought up MPO1. How is that are you saying that's a mainline toy?
No, I'm saying that's not a mainline toy. I'm saying this is maybe the first time since MPO1 came out that a quote-unquote mainline Generations-esque toy will be the centerpiece of a lot of people's collections.
So a lot of people would have some masterpiece as the centerpiece of their collection.
Yes.
But now this could overtake that.
Or a third party, maybe, I would say my kind of centerpieces for my collection is probably a whole slew of Decepticon combiners. Predaking and Devastator are in there from the Hasbro, but all the rest are third party, Decepticon combiners. And that's probably what I'm going to move to put Unicron, because that's probably the spot where Unicron would fit best if I keep them. And that will be not just the centerpiece of my Transformers collection, the centerpiece of my entire toy collection and basement.
Well, Zaldron here is saying mainline equals sold in stores, which is kind of the way I believe that means. And I'm just saying this was not sold in stores, so it's definitely not a masterpiece toy. I think we've covered that.
No,
but it's
but
in
I
a
guess,
league of
you know,
its,
let's
it's
say
in a league of its own.
something designed by Hasbro, not designed by Takara, and not designed by a third-party company. Because I would say a lot of collectors have made their masterpiece or their third-party toys the focal points of a lot of their collections.
Right.
Well, and then also you can't put this. Well, you can, I guess, put it in a DTOF. It just does not fit very well. I don't know if you saw.
Oh God, yeah, that was a
Who
great
figured
picture.
out how to put this in a D-top? Wouldn't it take at least 3 of them wide to make it? I mean, it'd take up like 9 squares.
Did you see the picture, Paul?
Oh, you
No.
didn't see the picture? There's some dude that crammed it into a DTOF. It was really funny.
Please send it to me. I'll put it in the screen right here. If you can figure it out.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. It's in our text chain, Paul. You must have been working.
That's all I do anymore. So.
Oh, God. But yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, we got to share this with the lovely crowd.
It looks like to me when you'd see like the horror movies, the sci-fi movies of like a creature in a tube, whether that's like in some freak show thing or like from Aliens where it's a dead creature floating in a tube. That is the aesthetic that this toy has inside a Detolf.
Yeah, I can't find it. So if you have it, please.
Yeah, I'm scouring. Give me a few minutes here. Was it even maybe yesterday? Gosh.
I mean, we have so many posts in the chat, it's hard to find them. There was something I meant to say about this. I mean, I'm going to talk about some of the things people have been upset about or been talking about in the past, few months. So the maw, you can see the inside of his mouth is gray here. It's fine. It's fine. No, it doesn't look like the animated movie because this is a War for Cybertron toy, and I guess that's how War for Cybertron Unicron rolls. And if you really look at it, like it wouldn't. If it was all orange, the inner mouth would be wrong, even though that's what we were advertised. This part's supposed to be gray, the little center bit where the little circular chomping crusher thing is. I actually think it makes the teeth stand out more. It gives it some variation. It's aesthetic. Originally, I was like, oh man, I wish that wasn't blue. But over time, I'm like, it's probably better. It's fine. And then there's another kind of unexpected color thing. There's this piece this ring piece you have to put on to keep the rings in, and that is not orange. It is gray, and it really breaks up the color of the rings as it connects to the planet. Not the biggest deal.
I know on the head, the bottom teeth, people are complaining about that.
I got the picture. I did not see this, Phil. This is the first time this is coming across my news desk. Stop the press.
Yeah.
I mean, I really should probably edit it so we don't see the dude's name, but look at that.
He posted
beautiful.
It on
That is just. You can't ask for a better setup than that. No wings. Actually, the person who's posted it, this is cited in the Cybertron Cafe, everyone's favorite Facebook group, the premier Transformers collectors Facebook group, I must say. Look at that Unicron. I know you guys can't see it unless you're watching YouTube, but it is a sight to behold, I must say. He looks like he's crying for help.
A lot of the comments were referencing the Anchorman bit where he's trapped in the phone booth.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. He definitely doesn't look happy either.
No.
It's very, very sad photo. So it takes up at least 2 shelves high, maybe 3. I don't know. Unicron wasn't meant to be contained in such a way. He is meant to be free. So I would not recommend a detail. I thought it was the planet in there, not the robot. It's even funnier that it's the robot, I must say. That's tough.
But yeah, I feel like for me, I'm going to just have this on the stand, like in the middle of my collection room, because it's not really gonna fit on. I guess I could buy a table for it or something, to display it on.
There was a guy who posted that he built a custom shelf just to display it in his room, like anchored up to a corner. And other people, like I when I saw it, I had anxiety, and other people were commenting. It was just like, this guy apparently makes a lot of his own custom shelving. Hopefully, he knows what he's doing, because that just was like, terror ridden in terms of the like, oh my gosh, I hope that's all in a stud and all of that, because that will easily pull out some drywall if it's not mounted, correctly.
Well, we all know the day's coming where we see the first shattered Unicron on the ground, because, my shelf. Oof, my shelf.
There were quite a few oof my shelf pictures floating around the different toy groups this week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, don't put this on a Target plastic tube shelf. It will kill it.
So, I mean, I will say, like, the stand is super solid.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I feel pretty good about, I mean, honestly, even in the robot, like, so again, the robot mode doesn't need it, but like, I think for myself, like for my own peace of mind, I am going to put him on the stand so I don't have to worry about knocking him over or just whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, the stand is great. Like, I'm really happy with how substantial it is, and the fact that it wasn't an afterthought. It was like part of the process. Like, they didn't come up with this idea and be like, oh, maybe we should put a stand with it. Like, no, it was all developed at the same time. The toy doesn't work without the stand, especially in planet mode. So I
don't know.
Great.
I mean, I would say overall, though, I mean, I'm just impressed that they like pulled it off, because like, I don't know, a lot of times you get into this kind of stuff and, it's not what you expect and whatever. And I think that this was absolutely what they advertised and was expected. It's a solid piece and everything. So, I mean, the fact that they pulled it off and they're shipping it out, and that it's packaged well, and that it all of the pieces fit together like you said, I mean, I'm happy with it. Like, I don't know.
Paul, you saw the prototype of this out in San Diego.
Yep.
How, after so you've already seen it, you didn't get to touch it, but you saw it live in person. How does this feel for you, having it in hand compared to when you saw it in San Diego? Do you still feel like as impressed? Did that water your sentiment down around this?
I mean, nothing's as good. Nothing's as good as the first time, Phil. So when I saw this thing in San Diego, I mean, that was like 2 years ago. It feels like 2 years ago. That was quite a while ago, and just seeing it in person, like, I don't know, the whole weekend I was kind of like in a blur, because I was like, oh my God, this thing is coming. Plus they also announced it right before we went to San Diego. But it's better now than it was, like, it was yellow back then. Like, the prototypes were yellow. The thing looked like a banana. It was just, they made the right changes. I mean, sure, we lost the orange circular thing, but I kind of already addressed that. Everyone would have been fine with it being all orange, but it would have looked wrong until someone like pointed out, like, oh, this part should not be orange, and then everyone would be chasing that dragon. I think it stands up to my hype back then. Just, I mean, maybe it's more the fact, like, this one is now mine. It's no longer like an anticipation thing. It's like actually here. I was gonna back this thing. I mean, I did back it the moment I saw it, the first chance I got, that same morning. So, I mean, I was definitely a first 10-minute backer, and this was the one that I made more than one order, because convince myself to get more later. I mean, there's still lots of things that surprise me. Just like how thick these rings really are, and how thick these horns really are. Just like some of the size, when it finally came down to it, it's like, holy shit. I did not, again, it's like I did not understand really how big they were. Like when I put my hands around this horn, I feel like that's like I am now my newborn daughter putting her hand around my index finger. It's that big. The scale is crazy.
How do the horns and rings feel in terms of the plastic material and quality?
Very solid. Very big. More, they just, like when you look at the toy, it's all kind of in proportion, and you just don't realize that the rings are like more than half an inch in diameter. They're thick. They're really thick. If you saw them on your own, you're like, damn, this looks way too thick. But when you put it here with this, the proportions of this circle and the space in between the rings and the planet, it looks right. Yeah, it's just, it's wild. Like I'm singing a lot of praises. There's definitely some drawbacks to the thing. Like the flapjacks, which is that's the TFYLP
right
sort of definition. It doesn't have an incredible amount of posability, but I mean it's Unicron and it's so big. Like it's just the fact that it transforms it all. And
I mean, it still has articulation. It's actually kind of hard to pull off the articulation because the fact that it's that the ratchets are so strong and everything. But like, I mean, it has like where the ankles and whatnot too. Like you can get the toe pivots.
Wow.
And whatnot too. Like it has it has a waist swivel. Like, I mean, so it really has all the articulation that you would really want from a figure like this.
Yeah, Paul, why are you the guy who has not transformed? You're critiquing his articulation.
I don't know, because I have to say something. I'm talking about the planet mode articulation, Phil.
Yeah, I was gonna say the planet mode articulation isn't that great.
Lucas, that toy, like just hearing you move it, I feel like that's a toy you can't play with at night because you'll wake your house up with the ratchets clicking.
Definitely. No, I mean, it's really hard, like on the legs. Like, it's hard to move the legs because the ratchets are so strong in them. So...
Catherine said she wants an add-on kit to light up the eyes. And I feel like for all the add-ons that they put on, granted, it was this wasn't like a backer thing that got funded early and they kept going to more goals. The add-ons felt like they were more like, please back this. We put a lot of time and money and effort into this. I would much rather have had light up eyes than the little spaceships and the digital comic book that I kind of already forgot about. I
didn't. I thought we were getting like a physical version of that, and it wasn't in the box. And I was like, what the F? I mean, was there they made a comic, right? Like, what was the story?
I think it's a digital version of a comic that already existed. I think they sent that out. If I recall, I think they sent that out to backers like 6 months to a year ago. I mean, if anyone in the chat remembers, please let us know.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It's obviously an afterthought, to say the least.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I personally don't like electronics on my figure because it's going to degrade over time. Like, I'm not going to keep the batteries in because I don't want to have to worry about them leaking, like doing stuff. So personally for me, like, I mean... I'm fine with not having. But that's me. I know other people like that.
I would like when I imagined my Unicron toy as a kid. What kind of blows my mind is like growing older and seeing the prototypes and being like, oh my god, that's actually pretty close to what I was hoping for. The one that has the moon that like goes around it and has the light up. That's the only thing I would have liked for it to emit something. If it wouldn't have had to be light. It could have been like what the Cell toy does, where it's like a big clear plastic cone or something. That might have been cool, like a giant blast effect.
I would have loved when we were talking about this in the Microcasters episode about X-Pants, that with Hasbro doing all of the blast effects, like a blast effects flame, either coming out of the mouth or coming out of the eye, that you could attach to there would have been fun to see. I would have preferred that than some of the add-ons they did give us.
Well, again, in that I'm going to reference that Unicron.com review. They really came up with that stuff on the fly. Like they were not those were not just things that they're like, oh, let's release the extras. I think they kind of thought the whole thing would fund without any extra stuff, and they were like, shit, put another chin on it. Like they actually, like that's what Ben says in the interview. He sounded honest enough where I'm like, oh wow, I didn't expect that to be that way. But like that's why they added the broken faceplate and stuff. Like they kind of scrambled to add those things. So.
Yeah, I mean, I know you were of the sentiment back when this thing was going through the whole funding phase that like they're going to do this, they're going to make this toy. They've made so much of this toy that they have to do it. So I think it does sound to go along with that narrative of like, they're like, hey, I think they probably thought it was a done deal, and the fact that they were having to scramble to get some add-ons to get some people over the ledge was not what they anticipated.
Well, here's kind of a fun story. So again, in the Unicron.com interview, they mentioned that the plug got pulled on this project. Like the higher ups are like, yeah, it's really expensive. It might not be profitable enough. Like it's a lot of work, and so I think they canned it. So I guess the team that had been working on it for almost 8-9 months or something, they had everything ready, and they just like got a prototype made of their render and set it up this is the story. They set it up in a meeting and called a meeting, and they came in and saw it in person for the first time instead of seeing it on renders and stuff. And so they convinced the powers that be to greenlight the project. So it stalled for a few months. That's why it took so long to get announced and everything. But the real part of the story is that when I went to one of those toys, the year that they announced Haslab and they launched the barge, we got a little Q&A with the Transformers guys, and we're like, do a Haslab Transformers, and then they're asking us like, oh, what character should we do? and some guy's like, Unicron. We're like, oh, you'd like Unicron? Oh, and it's like if you look at the timelines, like they were already fucking working on it.
Yeah.
They just like can't tell us anything, but at least they got some assurance that is exact. Everyone agreed, like, yes, a big ass Unicron would be cool. So it's nice it's nice that they had their mindset to be in line with what fans would have. Like, what else would you have done for a first Haslab for Transformers? This is the most obvious thing, and I gotta say they did it. They did it great. Yeah, there's ups and downs. There's things that could be better. There's things that could be. Sure, there's things that could be better. There's a lot of shit that could be way worse on this thing. Like, the ratchets could be like, oops, too brittle. Didn't work.
Right.
Like,
right, exactly.
There could have not been a stand, and then some third-party company has to come and design this crazy thing, that they already thought through.
I mean, there was a few talks of people really early on, and like, this was like weeks ago, so I'm not sure where they were getting theirs, that the rings came broken in theirs.
There was, yeah.
But now that like people are getting it more en masse, I have not heard anyone else say that.
I mean, the rings could break because they're at the top of the box.
Yeah.
And the only thing in between them is like one, maybe, centimeter, well, not even a centimeter, a pretty thin piece of cardboard. Because they're kind of laid on top of everything that has styrofoam and
I've
stuff.
seen pictures of people unboxing it.
So imagine there was some trauma to the box and it hit there at the top. It could snap the rings if it's like, but it would have to be pretty serious trauma. because
Yeah.
those rings are thick. They're not like I don't think a regular
they're pretty
human could break
substantial.
them. I just don't believe it. Someone would have to prove it. But there's always outliers.
Someone out there, if you can break your rings, send us a video.
You will get nothing.
We will not reimburse you.
I mean, you could snap the ring if you wanted to, Paul.
I could
Come on, Paul. Let's see
If
try.
you-
You're
if
strong.
you force
You're a
it.
strong man. Come on.
with my teeth. One thing that kind of like originally I was like, is this for real? They're skimping. Like this part is just kind of hanging in there. It's not attached to shit. And the same thing at the bottom. But I mean, it doesn't really need to. It can just float there. It's not like it's a load-bearing structure. That's all that action is happening on the east and west axis and the stand at the bottom. So don't go trying to like fish for a peg hole for those top and bottom rings to fit in. They don't happen. They just float. They float on. They've been listening to Modest Mouse. I don't know.
That bothers me thinking about how old that song is now. But weird side note.
When I first heard it, I was in college, and there were girls dancing in wherever I was. So
Yeah.
those days are gone. Now I got my Unicron instead. Who's laughing now, college chicks? Yeah.
I mean, if they saw this, they'd still probably be laughing at you. Like, oh my God, is that Paul?
Yeah, they
Is
probably.
he like in a podcast talking about Transformers? Like,
Yeah.
he's excited about this?
I'm at odds.
I thought he'd give that up by
I'm
now.
at odds with that sometimes, but at the same time, I bet I've gone along a lot further in life than these particular women that I'm talking about. So I'll keep that.
Were there any other questions in the chat, Paul? Or
There's not. I mean, I think everyone's. It's possible that the world is already Unicron fatigued, with all the social media, all the bastions of love and hate for this figure at this point. I was going to bring up this because this was not something I was really privy to that was coming. These are the screw holes, or the screw hole covers.
The fillers.
Yeah. I'm not used to seeing this in a Hasbro product, so I'm kind of shocked that they're there. Did you put these in, Lucas?
not yet?
It seems like kind of a chore. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I haven't done it myself.
You can't get a big Hasbro Transformer these days without some sort of chore, whether it's a sticker sheet or those screw hole covers.
Well, make no mistake, getting it to this point is a chore. It is not like, oh, I got my Unicron from FedEx, so everything's done. Like, no, you got a recipe to cook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took me my
Paul-
entire lunch break to do it.
Paul, some of our friends are big about, transforming things without instructions. Would you recommend that for this guy?
You got to ask Lucas, but I would say, I mean,
Well, all right, even just getting it on the stand, would you recommend trying to do that without going through the instructions?
well, no, but the problem is the instructions don't do a good job of telling you how to do that. So it's kind of a sucks donut.
I don't know. Like I said, like I managed to get it on the stand, and I managed to transform it largely without instructions. So, like, there was a couple parts where I was like, got stuck on, and I would like reference the instructions and whatnot. But for the most part, it's not too bad.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would use the instruction. I mean, I always recommend using the instructions, okay? Because if you break your toy, because whether you use instructions or not, it's your fault, not anyone else's. So it's in your best interest to, like, at least for the first time, before you've committed the transformation to memory, just like, this stuff's here to help. It's not here to call you a wuss, a Transformers wuss for using them.
Yeah, I would say the only scary part that I had was with the wings, like where they plug in here. So for the planet mode, it's pointed the other way. And so you have to like put a lot of force to move it down. And so I kind of put some stress marks like on like this one on the right. The one on the left was fine. So, but like that's was the scariest part for me, I think.
Well, and I was wondering if could you have removed the ring entirely and like turned it and put it back in instead of what you did?
No, that's what I did.
Oh,
Like because I didn't have it installed in planet mode. I only installed it. But like when you install it, it's at 90 degrees and you have to turn it.
oh.
So
I don't know. I'm still in awe of this thing. I can't. The honeymoon ain't over with me and balls deep here. It's
oh wow.
It's crazy. I mean, if you didn't, so let's talk about, Phil, you were saying you might sell it. You might sell it, and I'm keeping one for a future potential big sale. And when I say that, I mean like 5-10 years down the road, when they're literally gone. But in the meantime, if you did not get this toy, and you want it now, which a lot of people are feeling that bite, what do you do? What's the best thing to do? Anyone have any opinions?
I mean, I would say right now there's a few Facebook groups out there where I've seen guys post it for significantly more than what it cost originally, but less than what I've been seeing it going for on eBay. The eBay fees are going to eat a lot into this. The shipping is going to eat a lot into the cost of sending this thing. So if you can find someone relatively local that's selling it for $1,000, $1,100, that seems to be the best option right now. That again is right now.
Well, I wonder, do you think that there's going to be some that go up on BBTS or TF Source or whatever from people canceling?
I think they made it you do a deposit.
Right.
I mean, I guess that is totally possible. I just think like this was such a risky venture for someone that had to buy like 100 of them or something with the space and everything. I think they just were doing everything they could to not keep stock, and just as soon as they hit their warehouse, they're out of there. So I think they priced it appropriately for that.
Yeah, Chosen Prime posted a picture today of theirs coming in, and theirs apparently didn't come in the shipper. Theirs came just like plastic wrapped, like
pallets,
6, 7, 8 of them in the Unicron, inner box, and it's that is a storage unit or two of just one toy.
It's wild.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple local toy shops I know by me that didn't get it, and part of it was like the space factor, and sure, like that's one toy that can make them a tidy profit, but while they're waiting for that thing to sell, how much space in their store is it taking up, and or how much space is it taking up in one of their storage units?
I think, and this is a prediction, and it's a guess, okay? But I think there will be some people that try to sell this and sell it at a loss. They will be. They'll keep it. They'll have it in their house for a month or two, and realize I didn't. My desire for this. It's just not. I love it and I can handle it, but it's not going to be the case for everybody. And there will be some people that just want to get rid of it, and it's going to be loose. So it's still potentially they will sell it for like $500, $600. Like
I think your best bet to get one for a good price is going to be in probably the next 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, but once like the dust has settled, everyone gets their stock and it's done, and every retailer is sold out, and it's eBay or Craigslist or local sales. Like there'll be a lot of these for sale at TFCon this year. There will be a lot of them. Like I would
Again,
guess,
I don't know how many you'll see for sale because this is the size. Like if you're traveling with this
That's
thing
true.
to a convention, like all right, this is a whole bin and or 2 bins of other things you could be bringing with you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a good point. Like the value, a space like cubic inch per dollar. Like you might do better with a tub of like loose toys or something.
I mean, even just a tub of like Studio Series 86 figures. You know, how many more of those would you sell for the amount of space that this takes up in the back of your car or in your trailer if you're hauling stuff out to a convention?
Well, Paul, whenever you drive to TFCon, you'll just force Phil to have to ride with it in his lap, right?
I will be sitting
The
on
whole
his
way.
car, granny style from Beverly Hillbillies, while Unicron is strapped into the front seat.
I hate you guys.
What?
I hate,
That wasn't an insult. I don't
want to granny up, granify my.
I'm
car.
gonna get an old school rocking chair to just sit on top of your car with. It's gonna scratch the crap out of your paint too.
Yeah, that's why I'm mad. That's why I'm mad, dog.
I need to get like one of those old school Elmer Fudd shotguns too. That's like the reverse funnel, just sitting up there like guarding my Unicron.
Well, I think there's going to be possibilities to get this toy for under $1,000, but they're gonna be snatched up quick. You're gonna have to have a little energon and a lot of luck to have that happen, because I think it's gonna be real tough to get anyone to let go of this thing for less than $1,000. You know, after I feel like we potentially are already there, but there's always a dip after the initial hype, but it's just a matter of how quick will it come back. So I guess you're just if you really need one, you're gonna have to just be a hawk and check the groups, make sure you don't get scammed by anybody, because this is this is going to be a very scammable item for the next few weeks.
I don't see it likely that this
buyers
thing gets
themselves.
KO'd.
Never.
No.
Okay, I agree with you, but like, I try to never
Yes,
say
Harrison.
never these days.
I just said it's not likely.
Yeah. I mean, what if they make a
Like,
black
have we ever
one?
gotten a KO Titan?
I don't think so.
No, not really.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's still the rumor that the Cell toy, they're going to upscale it to match this, which I think is just so funny. Like, I mean, could look good, but I just don't see that toy. I feel that toy will get worse with an upper size, getting upsized. Joshua Dial says he wants a Primus or Cybertron, please.
That'd be fun.
I'm going to say no thank you.
Yeah. I mean, that first Primus toy just like, nah. In like what version of, is there, a version of Primus that's as, just quintessential to the fandom as there is with Unicron?
Yeah, that's the problem, is that Primus was like a comic-only thing, and he's never had, like, a striking, like, quintessential image. Where, like, Unicron, when you say Unicron, everyone kind of imagines the same dude. With Primus, it's a little more disjointed. Although, I guess you have Cybertron Primus. That toy is, like, the closest you get to ubiquitous, but then there's the Marvel comic guys who are like, say, no, it looks like a gold hot rod, man.
Yeah.
He's like, it just, it was an afterthought that was kind of retconned into the story. So
I would enjoy a G.I. Joe Transformers transforming Planet Earth, where America becomes his shield, Italy is his boot, Africa is the toy's heart, or the Transformers' heart. It like exists for like 2 or 3 panels in the Transformers G.I. Joe comic book from about 10 years back. And I think that's enough, media attention to warrant that thing being a highly, highly sought after Haslab toy that'll definitely get funded.
Keep dreaming, bro.
I know.
Never stop.
So
Never stopping.
What would be the next thing you could see them doing as a Haslab for Transformers?
I mean, I've heard
a new Metroplex.
I've heard a lot of people say Black Zarek as a Haslab thing, and like.
But we just got Scorponok.
But that kind of makes it there's you can put ping pong balls in both buckets, like why it's a good idea, why it's a bad idea. I feel like a lot of people think the only way it would ever get made is it has to get made now because of the Scorponok having been released, and so like the mold is like ready to go and everything. And that they'd have to do it through HasLab because it's such a small run character. Kind of like how Grand Max didn't get that little guy, the little Wave Rider dude, funded because it didn't sell enough. Like the interest level, for the hardcores, it's there, but like it doesn't go beyond a certain type of fan.
Yeah, I could see that if they did like 175, like slightly higher price point than the original Scorponok because they're doing a smaller run. You do it, it wouldn't have the same sort of grandeur that these other HasLabs have had.
But like the HasLabs, it seems like most of the time they're doing new tooling with it. So like we haven't really seen it before a repaint. So I don't know that they would actually use HasLab for that. So
if we're doing a totally new from scratch Transformer, who would be the next HasLab Transformer?
Could you see like a tidal wave maybe? I know there's a lot of people that have like kind of clamored for that and to like make it like at the scale and do it the right way. Like I don't necessarily see that as a Titan.
I can totally see that as a Titan. I don't know. I don't know if I would want to spend $300 on a Tidal Wave toy. I love Tidal Wave. I love the original toy. That in my opinion is probably the best Armada toy that they made. But I don't. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not the demographic and the age group that has as much nostalgia for Armada. I look at Armada and just like, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's not an easy answer. I think is one of the reasons I asked the question.
It's definitely not an easy answer at all because Transformers as a fandom is a sum of many parts. It's very fragmented, and only certain things like we all agree on. And like Unicron is one of them. Unicron's one of them, and if you remember the movie thing was a voice of Optimus Prime had to be Peter Cullen. That was like the only thing everyone like kind of rallied behind. So like again, like I said with Primus, there's a lot of different ideas of what Primus is. Plus, it's not like an A-list concept in Transformers. It's like B or C.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if they didn't just do the Studio Series Devastator, then maybe like the Studio Series Devastator as a complete set would have been, from the movies, would have been a HasLab possibility. But again, they just did that. So
the Driller. I mean, yeah, I'm glad you brought up the movie verse. Like maybe the Driller, because like the only way to actually do it justice would be with a giant ass toy. But like, I don't want.
How many people are clamoring for that?
I don't want that. Like, please don't make that because it doesn't transform. It's kind of boring. It's cool on screen, but it's like not a character. It's that would be a mistake, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I was gonna say maybe some of the Titan class figures and like redoing those. So like Metroplex, since he's a little bit older, or like Devastator, doing it right. Like to where it fits in a little bit more with the Series 86. And then do that at that $200 price point. Like I could maybe see some of that.
Well, I got a few weird ideas, but again, I don't think they're ubiquitous enough for Transformers to work.
Are you going to be like Nick and say you want the hologram that Hound made?
Get the out of here. Get the oof out of here. I like that guy.
I don't want to disparage Nick, and I'm sorry if it sounds that way. I just he's got a hankering for that for that design, and I'm sure there's designs that I want to see that very few other people want to, but I was just like, when I heard him clamoring for that at some point. I was like, wow,
I mean,
that is a deep, deep cut.
That's one of those like unself-aware proposals where you just laugh at them. So, but I got a few weird ones, but I know they're weird and I don't think they should be done. I just like want to pose some ideas. So, for Transformers, like you could maybe trying to think of something big, okay? You could maybe do the Lost Light ship. But the problem with that is there's no line of toys to supplement it. You know what I mean? Like there's not. I wish they had. Like Studio Series 86. That's cool. Like we all know what that is. It's like one of the first times we've ever had a retroactive. Like we're gonna do this thing that never got done. Maybe someday there's a Lost Light line of toys. That would be amazing.
I just had the crazy thought of like, after they're done with this Netflix show, like, what if they just did the IDW More Than Meets the Eye storyline as an animated show, and then you could do a Lost Light.
That'd be.
I would love that, but yeah. I don't know. I feel like they're probably done with that.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, I mean, again, did it transform? I don't recall it ever transforming.
It didn't. So again, It doesn't really make sense.
But they're making the Ark a toy now, so they're showing that they're able to, that they're stepping outside of those sort of parameters.
Agreed.
So what if they did like the Nemesis as, like so they do the Ark as the Titan, they do the Nemesis as I don't know.
That'd be cool. I mean, I don't know who it would be. Maybe you make that tidal wave. That. Could make sense. Well, here's a wild
you got
idea.
The third-party game Triptychon Nemesis.
Yeah, that would be cool too. Although they already made a Titan Triptychon, so here's a weird idea for Haslab. So what if it's not? It's new molds. It's stuff that wasn't going to get released. So I can think of something that people would probably flip out about, but I just don't know if it would be feasible. That's not huge. Like what if? And I'm going back to.
MP Volcanicus.
No. What if they, everyone's like, oh, Hasbro will never release the DJD at retail, because it's kids line. This is wrong. They wouldn't do it.
A box set?
Yeah. What if they did 5 new molds, and they're just deluxe to Voyager scale, but it's 5 new characters, and it's the DJD, and it's like legit the DJD.
Yeah, I would say you'd go deluxe to leader class, because the 2 big guys should probably be leader class.
Yeah, that's right.
So you'd have 2 leaders, a Voyager, or even maybe make them commander class. So maybe 2 a leader and a commander, a Voyager, and then 2 deluxes, and then you've got a couple of the scouts with some of the little ones in there. I mean that would be a fun set. I'd pay like 250, like probably $250 for something like that.
Well, I think for 5 new molds, you'd be paying a lot more than $200 some bucks. Like it would.
Yeah, like maybe I think part of it is
I think
like
it'd be $300 to $400.
Yeah, and I think the tough sale on that is like you're gonna have people do the math of like, well, if I get a commander from Walmart and I get a leader and that adds up to $175, and I'm not saying that it does, but yeah, if it goes too far beyond that math, people will, complain and maybe not back it. But I could actually see that being a pretty fun Haslab type of thing. And again, I guess I'm just wondering with Haslab, is it the Haslabs that they've done that have been successful? Because we had the Cookie Monster that Catherine mentioned earlier that was not successful. And that's very, very mainstream in terms of Cookie Monster. Does it have to be something mainstream enough to get a backing? I think that's maybe a question that you have to look at is what else is there for Transformers that's mainstream enough? Because there's so many Transformers fans that aren't going to be that familiar with the DJD because it's from a comic book. Is there anything like, you mentioned the Driller. Is there anything from the movie that they could do that, we just talked about Studio Series Devastator. Like, I'm trying to think if there's anything else movie related that would be potential. Maybe the next movie has something gigantic in it that they, movie Metroplex, that's the new Haslab.
Like movie Unicron? Which exists.
I mean, yes, his horns exist.
That's the closest you're gonna get to that GI Joe bot. Is
Yeah.
that? I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to. It doesn't. It maybe doesn't have to be one giant figure. It could be premium. You know, Hasbro knows how to make a few smaller figures, and you know, if you just made some cool ones, that you're imagine a BotCon set that was all new molds.
Yeah,
and not repurpose bullshit that you're shoehorning in to pretend
right, like the Velocitron set they did a few years ago. But again, to your point, all new molds.
A whole new molds thing, or even just the first use of the molds that they can retool for some other shit later. Like no one's gonna get. I mean, well, someone will complain. I won't.
I'm very tempted to go all Jasmine right now and sing a whole new mold. I'm glad that you, who have professional experience as a singer, did that versus me.
You're welcome. I wouldn't call it professional. Well,
you got paid to sing, didn't you?
I did. Yes.
Yeah.
Right, you're right. I made money. I got paid.
Yeah.
Paid them dollars. Literal
Fat
$1
stacks.
bills.
Fat stacks of backflaps.
Lucas, what are you doing? You are.
Oh, I'm trying to put it on the stand.
You're just manhandling that thing. You're really showing the world what Unicron can put up with.
Yeah.
I love it. I appreciate it. Well,
I keep looking, Paul. I keep looking down at my phone where I've got the screen actually on versus, you know, where I'm seeing your guys' faces, and the evil,
weird, right?
glowing green eyes of Unicron keep staring back at me.
Yeah, he's, you know, it's tricky.
But not from the actual toy.
No, from the prototype the dude's holding.
I'm getting previews of the Sabertron.com Unicron gallery. I should just post one of those in here, but I think I'd probably never hear the end of it. So I will refrain from that. I don't know. I don't got much else to say. I love the toy. I think if you got it, you're in for a treat if you haven't gotten it yet. I know the rest of the cast, at least 3 or 4 other guys, are getting it. Anna is not. I tried to get her on tonight to give us the non-buyer perspective, but it just wasn't in the cards. So we may do a follow-up Unicron show with the other cast members that refused to participate without having it in hand.
Oh, don't put that on them, Paul. Don't put that on them. They didn't have the toy.
They didn't
That's
have
fair.
it. It doesn't. Their mouths still move. They can still make voices out of their mouth, whether they have the toy or not. I would have enjoyed having them on, but what I'm saying is there might be more later from other cast members, because I mean, Unicron's such a big toy, it's hard to contain him in one episode.
This is a year and a half in the making moment for Transformers fans.
Yeah, I mean, Duran, had some pretty heavy things to say. This is affecting him quite a bit. He's feeling the burn. He wishes he had this toy.
I mean, yeah, this is a toy that creates a lot of feelings. I at this point, again, I'm sad that I don't feel like I can open them right away. I wish I had bought 2 so that I would have 1 to sell and then 1 to keep and open, and I wouldn't feel as bad about opening one. But I mean, you're gonna see some flexing coming in the next couple of months, where you're gonna have the dudes who have I got the one in the box, the one in planet mode, and the one in robot mode. Here you go.
Does anyone really do that other than me?
Oh, there's going to be some dudes who are going to like you see that in the fans toy groups. I was like, hey, here's my 3 Thomases. Robot, train, and space shuttle.
I need a good Ghost Starscream. Oh, that one's not very good. Look at this thing. I can hardly hold it up. That's how much of a weakling I am. It's too big.
How heavy is that compared to your baby?
Oh my God, it's like 2 or 3 times the weight.
I want to see pictures, Paul, of your baby in the mandibles of Unicron.
I don't.
I'm sure the wife would appreciate that.
The wife was here when that giant box came through the front door, so The wife can't. The wife has a highly dubious bargaining posture.
Yeah, and your front staircase. This could not have been fun going up your front staircase.
I got it in. That's all I can
Yeah.
say. By the way, my box had like this weird like water stain all over it, and I was like, uh-oh. But it didn't reach inside the box, so it was just the outer box. Which I'm very glad that Hasbro decided to do that, to give it an outer box, because if I recall, I thought they were just going to ship it in the Unicron box.
That was the talk. Yeah.
Yeah. So I am very grateful they made the executive decision to do that. That was
as am I.
Move.
I think one of the things I was after the show Monday night, I was so excited to tell Lucas and Nick and Peter that like that day I had sold a big Star Wars vehicle that I had on eBay for like 6 months. And I was so excited that day because that meant that I got that toy out of my basement. The bin it was sitting in could now be stuffed full of boxes of third-party toys where I'm saving those boxes. And that bin can now be in my crawl space where it's out of the way. And now that space is now taken up. The space that I just cleared is now being taken up by Unicron. In fact, it's even a larger footprint than the bin had.
Well, I just got those McFarlane spawns. Those are not.
Those are huge.
Those are not small boxes.
No, and that is a Russian doll of packaging in terms of how many layers you go in that packaging. It's beautiful packaging and a beautiful toy. Yeah, I mean, you want to talk again about a Kickstarter that like, holy cow, did they pull out all the stops with that toy? Todd McFarlane definitely did that, and that was a far lower price point than this guy. Granted, it's a much smaller toy, but boy howdy, when you get that thing and you open it, you felt like you were a part of something special.
Boy howdy.
You did not just get a digital comic book with that Spawn toy.
Yeah, instead you got 3,000 daily updates from Todd McFarlane telling you, hey, I don't know how to run a business, even though I've been doing it for like 40 years. This Kickstarter thing is wild, man. That's what you got for backing that thing.
Todd is a guy with his toy business these days that's very, very transparent. And I will say, this is something we haven't talked about that much. This is by far and above the most transparency we've had around a Transformer.
Oh, yeah.
To see them actually put it together in the factory, to see, like what the factory actually looks like, that's that's behind the scenes look that I don't recall us as fans of ever getting before.
No, not officially. Not like straight, like they served it up. I was shocked.
Like I'm sure Rick, that's a common occurrence for him back in the day, but for most of us, this was new.
Yeah, I mean, they just don't want you to, they don't want you to know how the pie's made or whatever. What's the phrase?
Sausage.
How the sausage is made. Yeah, sausage. They kind of, just kind of want to keep that below the belt. So I was shocked to see that, and for such a big toy, it was cool. It was kudos that they did it. 'Cause I've seen footage like that before, but it's not from Hasbro. It was great. Well, I think I'm fading. I got an early morning.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys coming on with me. It might not have been the most energy-filled, lambasting of Unicron here, but I just my brain. He's fried my brain. The fact that he's here.
I'm excited though that while there's been some negativeness around this, the sentiment is pretty darn positive.
I agree.
Yeah.
The real negative is the people that chose not to buy it and are regretting.
Yeah.
Those are the people that are mad.
Yeah, I will say that this may be one of the few figures that I never end up selling just because I don't want to go through the hassle of selling something. So like now that I have it out of the box, like I think if I would have kept it in the box like you, Phil, but like now that I have it transformed and all that, I'm not sure because I don't think that we'll get a better Unicron. Like that's the thing is a lot of these other figures, it's like I'm going to get a new Optimus Prime every year.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the only Unicron we're going to get for the foreseeable future. So
50 years from now, Lucas is going to be like, bury me with my Unicron.
I don't know. Never, you know,
Never say
never say never. This thing is incredible. I mean, I don't know how they could top it, but they could. They could someday. This is not a masterpiece toy. This is not G1 Unicron. You know, those are two facets of the fandom that are very important. That, you know, and whether you're under those banners, it matters. It's a big difference. It's like the Galvatron discussion. Everyone's flipping out about Galvatron. It doesn't look like the movie. Well, guess what? You know what it does look like? It looks like War for Cybertron Unicron on the Netflix show. That's what it looks like, because that's what it is. It's not your movie Galvatron, but it's easy to make those to cross those lines because they release the movie stuff at the same time they're releasing all this like retro homage G1 stuff. So why you made two concurrent similar lines, I'll never know. I don't know.
I would enjoy a G1 Unicron from the red line if they made it like double the size of what the first four figures have been. That would get me to buy a red toy.
It'd be like the Red Series Sentinel, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. I would buy that. I'd pay, $50 for that. $60. Because that would be what? That would almost be the size of Zeta at that point, right?
Yeah, it'd be big. It's not Zeta. It's Studio 01. Sal.
My bad.
Studio 01 Sal. Foul.
But yeah, here's Catherine, centerpiece of my collection, rebuilding displays around Unicron. That's going to be the theme for a lot of people's spring cleaning is how do I reset up my shelves with this big chunk of plastic in the middle of it.
Well, my wife and I are looking for a new house because we need to find a place that has a nice mantle so we can put a Unicron in it. It's time for an upgrade. We got our stimulus. We think we can afford it. Could happen. Well, it's been fun returning to Oof My Wallet after a bit of a hiatus. This was a special episode. Don't expect us coming back next week. We're still working on that. I just took time out of my busy schedule to hang out with my beach ball. And all you folks. And Phil and Lucas, I've missed you. So, I would like to announce that I am getting vaccinated tomorrow. So maybe in a month from now, we can do another live show where I can be sick on camera. Feeling bad after my second shot. We'll see. So stay vigilant out there, everybody. Don't forget, we've got plenty of shows to keep you busy during the week. Microcasters is now on Thursdays. Whoa. 8:30?
8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern.
Yes. How about Pacific? What time Pacific? That would be
6:30.
7:30 Mountain Time if you're keeping track. And if you live in Alaska, we're not even sure what time zone you're in. So check with Hawaii. So yeah. What are you guys gonna review tomorrow? Unicron?
No. It's Zaldrun knows. It's the micro master set, the Botropolis. Thank you. Yep.
Skylinks' new clothes, as I like to call that set.
There you go.
And we have Cut the Tape, precariously going to be airing on Saturdays. You just never know. It's a surprise.
Potentially.
It's a
I was going to say,
ride.
Rick sends the video, so.
He'll probably be opening Unicron. So you could, if the part of this show that was missing was actually seeing someone open the box, just wait for Rick. He'll take care of you. And Monday night, the Ensemble Cast show, the thing that has kept us going for so many years, TFYLP, hosted by Lucas. Topic is changing every week. We do it live. So you better be there at 8:30 on YouTube. We got a Patreon.
Don't forget about book club.
Yeah, book club on Discord.
Yeah,
Well,
book club's on Discord Sunday nights. I believe they're doing More Than Me CI 28 to 30, I think.
Yeah,
get
post Dark
outta here.
Cybertron.
Get out of here. Megatron
Someone
and Autobot, you got to be in.
Joins the
Season 2.
Autobots. That is pretty crazy.
And somebody on
That's
that
great.
ship's been drinking. So Megatron's going to get to the bottom of that. He's going to get to the bottom of it. Great arc. One of the best, one of the biggest shocks in all of Transformers. Autobot and Megatron. See how it plays out. I'm sure it's a happy ending. Very happy.
Yes.
And that's it. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate it. We have a Patreon. We're on Twitter. Search for us at TFYLP down in the corner. You can see it down there. And you never know. There might be more Unicron-tent in the near future. See you guys later.
See what you did there.
Checking out. Oops. How'd that happen? Well, they did it again. Good night, everybody.